having this, it makes you feel full, but it doesn't make you feel so full that like you need to go take a nap or anything. It kind of gives you some really good energy to kind of get going too. So yeah.
Would you ever recommend a shake at night instead of dinner?
Yeah, you can do that. Most of the times, now I wouldn't do a shake that has like loaded with bananas and a lot of extra sugary type things, but I would do a shake if I'm craving something sweet. You know, the best fix always is plant protein and maybe a tablespoon of nut butter, some almond butter, something like that. And that usually gets rid of everything. But that's another thing that I'm sharing today with the cinnamon and coconut sugar, is cinnamon helps to balance your blood sugar. So it's a good sneaky way of making you feel like you had a snack, you know, or something sweet, but your blood sugar is being balanced in the process. And so that's many times when we're trying to cut out processed foods, things like that, that we kind of cut, and we start still wanting something sweet, because that's the way we've been taught, is, you know, when we need some energy or something like that, we need some sugar, right? So we'll talk about that in a minute too. I'm going to quickly make these shakes here, and then Tessa will pass them out. And as you're drinking and doing whatever, and if you don't like it, just gulp it down and smile. So what I like about this thing is, how many times do you plan on having something for dinner and then you forgot to lay the meat out in the morning, right? And then it kind of makes the whole dinner thing plan kind of go out the window because we forgot to lay out the chicken or whatever. Quinoa is a great carbohydrate. Many times we think when we're trying to lose weight, we can't have carbs. When we throw in some good healthy carbs, such as like sweet potatoes or the quinoa here, then it kind of helps you kind of keep going. So basically all I'm doing here is a $25 rice cooker, and that's a special. I'm just putting 2 cups of quinoa in my cooker here. So this is a quick go-to meal for my family, and it's always been a lifesaver because it takes not that long at all to cook, and everybody's happy and dinner's done. I've conquered that, and the kitchen can be closed. Okay, your wine here. I have chicken broth. You can use beef broth, different things here to add here, but what do we always add to everything to make it better? So we'll start here, and then as we peek at it later, I might have to add more or less. This is a much bigger batch than I normally do at home. So we got it going. Perfect. And she's cooking away. Like, I want you tonight, be a weirdo, get in front of your mirror. I want you to take a picture of yourself in the front, on the side, and on the back side, okay? And do that. One day you're gonna be flipping through your phone, you're like, oh yeah, I was gonna start that plan. Right? So that's a reminder. But then too, you might can go back and look at it 8 weeks later and see some progress. Because many times we base our health on what number we see on our scales. And that's not really the way we should base our health. Because there's a lot of skinny people, a lot of overweight people. And either way, it doesn't matter the body. What's inside the body is what's going on in the environment, the climate, everything else in here is what matters the most versus what these scales. So we put too much pressure on what the scales look like. Because sometimes, you know, if you might, you know, again, people go out and work out, get muscle and stuff, and you become lean. You actually become lean, but the scales might say you look the same. This is why you take before and after pictures, okay? Because if you do it before and after picture, you look at yourself and you're like, I swore them jeans feel a little tighter on, looser on me, but the scales ain't saying anything. But when you see yourself looking, comparing and before and after, you see a big difference. So super, super valuable to do that. And when you see those changes, you get inspired to keep on going, okay? Whereas how many times we look at the scales and it went up instead of down, and then we just kind of throw in the towel after week 2, So this is important for you to do that. So make sure you do that when you get home today too. And then the next thing with our mindset is we need to look at is adding in things. So we want to add in, protein instead of oh, I have to cut out the sugar and the breads and the pastas. So now you're looking at all the things you have to cut out. But think about all of the great things that you get to add in. And so that's adding in more protein, adding in more non-processed foods and more water and hydration. It seems like the theme word now, you're starting, as I'm walking down the aisles and like cereals and stuff, it says protein on the cereal. So they're using, 10 years ago, it probably said low fat, or less sugar, or no high fructose corn syrup. Or they rename everything, But right now, it seems like the kicker word is adding more protein. So we are adding in more protein in a healthy amount, because too much protein, guess what? Turns into sugar. So we want to keep a good, well-balanced amount. We don't need to, and when I say well-balanced amount, think of looking at your proteins should be about 20 grams each time you eat. So maybe 20 grams of protein for breakfast of some sort. And then another 20 grams or so at lunch, and then 20 grams at snack time, and then same thing with dinner, okay? That's the idea when you're adding in more proteins too. Next thing is hormones, because many times this is actually one of our biggest excuses, okay? I didn't mention this earlier, but my goal at the beginning of this and all day today is to try to get rid of all of our excuses, okay? And it's not to make us feel bad, because we all already do that ourselves. It's more about just giving you inspiration. But many times we blame our situation and what's going on with hormones. And the best way to balance your hormones many times is not necessarily that you're deficient in taking a medication, but more or less just balancing your life in general. Changing your nutrition, adding in more water, lowering our sugar intake, exercise, creating a good mindset, sleeping, in a good, your 7-8 hours, minimizing stress, and then at least 20 minutes per day of sunlight increases your D3. So the big thing, when I look at this, what causes many of these problems is here. It's our stress. So stress is the unbalanced hormones. This right here is more of like a symptom. But the cause is many times stress, okay? And we live here in America, and we're like, go, constant go. And we have to remind ourselves to slow down. And how many times people have told me that, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But we have to figure out and make ourselves a priority, because otherwise, nothing's going to stop. People are still going to ask you to do things all the time. There's always going to be, you gotta work, you gotta cook, you gotta, you gotta do things. So you gotta figure out a way to help balance that stress and make yourself a priority. So one of the biggest things is even like exercise. We just mentioned this earlier. Exercise. So first thing in the morning, so how many times I'm going to say I'm going to exercise, and it never fits in the day, ever. But when you start at the first part of the day, don't even think about it. Roll out of the bed and just go work out. It happens. And then the craziest thing, because if you start your day like that, you have so much more energy for the whole rest of the day. It's just jumping over that line of literally just crawling out of our bed and then going and working out. Now, do we have to go to the gym? No, we don't have to go to the gym. We don't have to wear all fancy clothes or any of that kind of stuff. You can just do basic things, at home. Has anybody in here been to any of Liz's workouts here? Yeah, so it's pretty basic equipment, right? Pretty easy, probably I know it's very inexpensive things that you can buy. I think my favorite place is going to TJ Maxx. You can buy weights all day long there, and it's very, very good. So you got to figure out how to minimize our stress, figure out what that is, and then balance that, and then some of these other things will kind of eventually start going into place. But when life gets busy, I do recommend at least just getting outside, taking your shoes off, just grounding in the grass and getting some sunlight, because even sunlight or vitamin D3, which is even in our supplements, that actually decreases your chances of breast cancer by 83%. So why are we not going outside? Why are we going outside and lathering up with sunblock? So these are important things. So I typically I'm outside a lot, especially in the summertime. So because I'm out a lot, I don't normally take so much D3 during the summer times, but you know, the rainy days, the days that I'm not out as much, maybe in the summertime it's just too hot, then I'll start taking my D3 again, or in the winter times. So these are some great things here. So I'll hit on all these too. So this is kind of getting right back into our meat things here. So we need to, our meat, this is your food list, and I specifically named it the meat and veggie plan. Hold the white potatoes, okay? You get that? So basically, have your vegetables, just don't eat the white potatoes, okay? So that's pretty easy to think about in the process. And not saying that white potatoes are always bad for us, you know, we can have them on occasion, but for this particular plan to work, it's better to cut out the white potatoes because of the starches, okay? We're also cutting out a few other things, but I highlighted the white potatoes because that's basically eat all your other vegetables, just not the white potatoes. Does that make sense? So we got meat. You want to look for grass-fed beef, chicken, turkey, wild-caught salmon, or cod. Your vegetables, all vegetables minus the white potatoes. The fruit, only 1 cup of berries per day if you got an exercise that day, or you know, you can even have an apple too on the days that we're, you know, out working, you know, being out. Next thing here you'll see is no dairy. The reason it says no dairy is because we're like, wait a minute, I thought dairy was good for us. And then what do we also think when we think of dairy? I just said something about high protein. How many of you already thought about yogurt, right? Cottage cheese. Those are all the things that we would normally get our protein from. The idea is with no dairy, because dairy is good for us in moderation. What happens is when we start kind of cutting back all of our sugars and then cutting out our breads and our pastas, then we start kind of increasing our dairy intake, not meaning to. It just ends up, no, yeah, it's fine. What's happening is when we start eating our dairy, we'll have it for breakfast, and then, you know, later we'll have some sour cream, you know, or something on our salad part here, and then we have lots of extra cheese and more sour cream in the evening for this, and then it becomes too much, okay? And cottage cheese, all those things. So if you can go in with this plan and promise that you only eat your yogurt in the morning and nothing else the whole rest of the week, then do that. That's why I say no dairy. I'm one that if I have yogurt, then I'll be like, want some cheese, I want some sour cream, those kind of things. So, but if you're super disciplined, then go with it. If not, I would recommend no dairy. Just for right now, there's nothing that you think, well, I'm not going to get my calcium, you know, or my D3. You're still getting that in so many other foods. So everything's been, and gosh, even milk that we buy at the store these days, it's just been, everything's been taken out of it, and then they add in, you know, stuff. So you're not really missing anything with not drinking the whole milk, okay, the store-bought type stuff, okay? Bread, no bread or noodles. These are, again, and sourdough bread is popular right now, so no sourdough bread either. It's great for us, but man, them starters. Anybody make sourdough bread? Yeah, it just keeps going and going and going, don't it? So it's better to just not do the sourdough bread, even though it's had some great things that's good for us. It still has a lot of the white flour. It's going to cause inflammation in the body, and even that inflammation that you get from the breads and things like that, it's still worse than, you know, the good things that you might get out of the bread. It's probably nothing right now of the stuff that you buy at the store. Some of the things, because we still, and you know, every now and then we want a cracker. These are some almond flour crackers by Simple Mills. They have just a handful of ingredients in it, and so they're going to be better for you because they're just made out of almonds. Okay, so, and what's so great about these, if you haven't tried them, is they come in all different flavors. The sun-dried tomato and basil. We'll actually be eating with our chicken salad today, so you'll get to try those.
Are you okay with nut milks as a dairy substitute?
Yeah, you can do nut milks. Even if you can find a nut yogurt or something.
Yeah.
I haven't had very good luck trying to find, so I just kind of closed that whole door. Because a lot of even the nut type of yogurts are either still going to be full of sugar or just very bland and kind of taste, you know, not so great either. So. Another thing here you'll see, this is back to the quinoa. So you have a cup of quinoa or 1 medium sweet potato at lunchtime. Okay, so there's some timing things going on, but I'm not trying to make it too complicated, okay? Just think of quinoa and sweet potatoes. Those are extra carbohydrates, but they're the good healthy carbohydrates, and if we only have them at lunch, we have the whole rest of the day to kind of work them off, okay? But if we have them in the evening, they're not gonna be such a great idea because they are slower carbs, so they're still not gonna work out in our favor. So it's better to have them at lunch. And these are things like the quinoa. I'll eat that stuff cold if I have to. It's whatever you use. It's all about seasoning anyway, okay? And the sweet potatoes, those are great just if you have an air fryer or a convection oven. You don't have to put nothing on. You literally just cut them up, dice them up, put a little bit of avocado oil on them, and bake them in your convection oven or your regular oven, and eat them. Put them on your salad as a crouton, a replacement, or just eat them in general. They're kind of fun just to snack on. So these are great things to add in, like for a lunch thing. Fats, we want some good fats. So these are avocados, half a cup of nuts, a tablespoon of nut butter per day. So usually, if you're, and what I always recommend is like, there's one particular name brand of pistachios. They don't have all the bad sugars and stuff in it, but it's a salt and vinegar brand, and man, you could eat that whole bag. And so what I recommend when it comes to nuts is to measure them in your snack bags here, and that way you have, a quarter a cup or half a cup, and that cuts you off. Because when you're, same thing, if you had a bag of chips, you're gonna sit there and eat that whole bag of chips unintentionally because it's just there. But if you have it pre-measured, the nuts, you're still kind of cut off. And the nuts are good for us, they have the good fats, but overindulgence in them, they will actually hurt us worse than help us, okay? So these are great options for a snack. Another thing that we like to do is, this is avocado mash. What happens is when I buy a real avocado, or a bunch of them, they end up going bad so fast. I can't get the timing just right. And so when they started coming out with these are a blessing. It's just avocado mash, and it's got sea salt and lemon, and then they just use lemon juice to keep it fresh. Obviously it's empty, but usually there's 4 containers inside here, and it just kind of looks like a little, and it's just a little bowl. You peel it off, and you mix it. You put it with, your salad or whatever.
You find that where?
You put it in the cold section. Costco has the big boxes. Sam's Club might, I know. And then at the grocery store.
Brand, but
yeah.
I've seen other brands.
And at Publix, it's all in the cold section. So if you look at where they have like already the pre-diced vegetables or something like that, you'll see these over here. What are so yummy. My favorite thing with these is we might get I don't feel like cooking one night, I'll get a rotisserie chicken from the store, and then I have some of this. So basically, you have this recipe already, but basically you take that whole rotisserie chicken and break it up in pieces in your bowl, whatever serving size of chicken that you're gonna have, and then I take one of these here and just squish it all inside there. So you don't even have to like avocados to try this because it don't really taste like avocados, okay? But you kind of mix it in there with the chicken, and then you got your fats, and you got some good proteins, okay? The reason for that, I have a fun thing to kind of think about. So I have 3 volunteers. There's 3 volunteers in here. Real easy, real easy. So, all right, so I want you to be, you're gonna be protein.
Am I standing up in front?
No, just hold on to it. And then somebody's gonna be good fats, who wants to be good fats. Yeah. And then I have somebody that's gonna be sugar. Am I gonna be sugar? You're gonna be sugar. All right, so the idea with here, when, I'll tell you when in a second, and you'll flip it over and just let it go. When it goes, just holler bingo or something, okay? I'm gonna keep on talking, but the idea is you'll hear the sugar go off first, okay? And then which one do you think will go off last?
Fat.
We'll see. How about that? And that'll be your answer on which one's gonna go, which one digests the slowest, okay? And then which one's going to keep you full, okay? So everybody flip it over, upside down. And I'm just gonna keep on talking, but when yours goes down, just say bingo, okay? And then we'll keep, and say what you was, fat or whatever, okay? It's a fun thing. So the next thing is you add some things like sea salt, your spices, your hot sauce, vegenaise, we'll talk about that in a minute, mustard. No white sugar, no dextrose, no sucralose, no maltodextrin, no cane sugar. You can have monk fruit or stevia. These are great sugar alternatives. However, when you go to buy them, make sure when you buy monk fruit, it is just monk fruit and it don't have dextrose or sucralose or maltodextrin. Same thing when you buy stevia, make sure it's just plain stevia, nothing else added. The reason is these here by themselves, they will not raise your blood sugar up. They're just like invisible sugars, okay? what happens is when we add in anything that ends with OS, so just remember that, anything that ends with OSE equals sugar. So even though we might pick up one of these and it has dextrose in it.
Bingo.
There you go, so there went our sugar. So we hit our sugar, our fuel went real fast, right? So we'll keep on waiting on the others. Yes, and then your, you got sucralose, all these OSEs equals sugar. So even if I look on here and it says no sugar, just know that when you're reading the label here and it says sucralose, know that your body's going to break it down as a sugar. What's going on these days, same thing as maltodextrin. Maltodextrin, the glycemic index is like triple more than sugar. Why in the world would they put maltodextrin in your alternative stevias and stuff like that? You know, I wouldn't buy stevia if I wasn't trying, to keep my blood sugars lower, right? But they add in these extra things and we don't know. So make sure you're on the lookout for those kind of things. Reason we even talk about blood sugar is because this isn't
How do you measure, when your recipe calls for a tablespoon of sugar, how do you measure those?
That's a great question. So many times with stevia, all honesty, I don't never cook with stevia just because the conversion rate, I was never good in math. Anyways,
Bingo.
there we go. And then that was protein. All right, so then we got our answer. Which one digests last?
Good fat.
Yes, yes. So that holds it last. So the idea with this here, since we kind of already know with our fats, is basically when we break down these fats, that's our energy source. So many times when we're looking for, we feel like our blood sugar feels low, we need some energy, what do we usually do? Reach for, our younger generation reaches for Frappuccinos and Starbucks, those kind of things, because they're looking for caffeine and sugar, right? So what we should be looking for a good energy source is looking for a fat. So many times a good fat even would be some good like grass-fed type butter. This sounds really strange and weird, okay? But it's a quick fix if you need some energy. Is get you a teaspoon and dip a little bit of like good, like a grass-fed like Kerrygold type of butter, and then put a little bit of peanut butter on it and just eat it. Sounds so weird, right? But that got all your good fats right there, and that'll sustain you for such a long period of time versus, if we eat a giant something else, okay, in the process. Does this make sense here? Yeah.
Yeah.
So just as a refresher, which one's the one that burns fast? Sugars. And which one was the last one?
Fats.
Fats, yes. So fats is actually our good energy source. What happens is we eat tons and tons of sugar, and then what happens then is we burn off our proteins, and then our fats, like, well, I guess you don't need me today. I'll sit over here and this side of her, here, you know what I'm saying? So if we cut out the sugars, then your body has no choice but to start breaking down these proteins, which is great, because then that's going to replenish all your muscles, and then you got your fat's going to be like starting to be burned off too, because then you become a fat burner instead of a sugar burner. Does this make sense? Yeah? And the reason that you think, well, I don't eat sweets, I don't put sugar in my tea, it's the other things that sneak up on us that we don't realize that our body is reading as sugars. And the biggest thing is 100% bread, okay? I did an experiment a while back, the blood sugar things you stick here. So I did one of those one time and was just trying to, I don't have blood sugar issues, but I wanted to see, just have fun, because I like to learn all the time. But one of the things that I had, like banana, I had like a sugary treat. I had an English muffin one day, and the English muffin just like out of the roof there, and it was amazing how the English muffin was nothing special, just had a little butter on it, nothing else. But my blood sugar was way up versus like the banana or something that actually tasted sweet, So the lesson there is the white flours that are hurting us, okay? It's causing our blood sugar issues, so we have to cut those out. And then we also think about the sugars, okay? But the biggest thing is the white flour that's hurting us right now. So we need to cut those out, figure out a replacement, or eventually, because I grew up in the South. My granny made the best homemade biscuits and sourdough bread for days, all those great things. But they're just still, you get used to having them, you have to figure out the replacement, and that's what it's just breaking a habit, that's all it is. And so, we live here in the South too, where we think that our meal for dinner is usually, a meat, right, a vegetable, most of the time potatoes, gravy, and a side of bread, cause we need a scooper, right, to scoop it up, right? That's how we eat here in the South, but we can change all of that, and the biggest way to do that is just changing our mindset. So first thing in the morning, you should eat like you're a millionaire, okay? Eat a nice healthy breakfast. I have you some examples here, we'll go over here shortly. So eat a nice healthy breakfast, and then at lunchtime, you eat like you're on a budget, and then at supper time, you need to eat like you just lost your job. Okay, that's the idea. But how do we normally do it? We do it totally backwards. Yeah, and by the time, at dinner time, we're like smorgasbord of everything, cause you're starved and you're stressed, and then you want something sweet, you know, all those things start to gather in, and then we go to bed, you know, and then it just sits, cause we never burn it all off. So you just have to switch it up. And we're overthinking our supper time, because supper time should be like one of the easiest meals. Supper time should be what you'll see in a minute. It should be something easy, like maybe some green beans and maybe a grilled hamburger on the grill, you know, something really simple. And then add some butter to it, or put some avocado mash or something like that, some good fats. What you'll notice is that when you have a good protein and a good fat and not as many carbs in the evening, you actually sleep better. Because what happens is, we just learned, what goes fastest is sugar, right? So if we go to bed at night, let's say we ate the spaghetti dinner with the salad, you know, all the fixings, and then we go to bed, then we wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're wide awake, and we can't figure out how to go back to sleep. Well, your body's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's burning all those spaghetti carbs for energy. But do we need that 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning? No. So if we switch that up and add more of a good protein source to it, then your body's going to replenish there, okay? I'm gonna go over here and peek at this camera just to make sure. Version rate, still bubbling over there, so that looks fine. So,
How about whole grain breads?
whole grain breads are still, no. Cause most of,
No bread,
Yeah.
doesn't matter, okay.
it is, cause even like, you know, I was looking at like, cause I've been trying to find every excuse to, cause I love sourdough bread, I'm trying to find, but most even rye breads, sourdough wise, still is gonna call for white flour in the process, so there's still no escaping the white flour mix, so.
I like a Killer Dave bread, have you seen those?
Is
That
it
are the
like
lower carbs?
Is it kinda like the egg, the cloud bread, is that, some people are talking about the cloud bread that's sometimes
I
even
bet
made
you
out of
make
eggs.
that though.
What about, like gluten-free bread? What about a gluten-free or vegan bread?
That's another question. So with the gluten-free, because gluten-free is a big fad thing right now too, and we do have people that are celiac and, you know, most definitely need, and so then we think, well, if it's good for them, you know, I don't have a gluten allergy, but I think it's probably gonna be better and healthier. What they're doing with this is they're all corn and they're all rice, made, and that makes it gluten-free. So, but when you burn corn turns into sugar, and same thing with rice, it raises your glycemic index up. So that's another trigger, so it's not necessarily gonna be any better for us either. So, but we have to do is just change, hopefully you'll see this in here, some replacements. But it's hard to begin with, trying to take away the bread when we've had the bread forever. As a stepping stone, you can use these. These are almond flour, like tortillas. At the grocery store, there's 8 of them in here. Even at Walmart, you're gonna pay like $8 or something. That's very pricey. But Costco usually has like a big giant pack for like $12. So it's definitely better to buy them in bulk, and they freeze, so they last a long time too.
So it's better than the ones that they advertise as their low carb?
No, I mean, there are some that they make with, eggs. I've seen some of those that they just make
Egg wraps.
tortillas with egg wraps, and stuff. They've got coconut kinds, so just kinda look for that, you know that that's a better alternative versus the regular white flour. Another recipe, I didn't add this in here, but one of my favorite other recipes in the wintertime is a chicken tortilla soup, and then I use these as my tortillas. So I just break them up and stick them inside there, and they're my, you know, my dumpling, kind of, in there.
What about brown sugar?
Well, any kind of sugar is gonna
So-
raise our blood sugar
so
up
you
too,
would
so, yeah.
Maybe that's in brown.
Brown sugar, Now, this monk fruit has, so if you have a recipe that calls for brown sugar, this particular name brand has a brown sugar version. So if you do have a recipe, you can try it out and see too. So, but basically, I think I flew away from your question a minute ago about
Yeah,
version away from the stevia. So when a recipe calls for a cup of sugar, you can use a cup of this.
Oh,
I think it's
Okay.
1-to-1.
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
just a
wow.
one-to-one
Okay.
thing
Yeah.
here.
A lot of
Versus,
stevia does too.
like I said, I just
Oh.
haven't had good luck with the stevia. I literally put stevia in my, coffee, sometimes my black coffee, and that's about the only thing I ever use it for.
Mhm.
So the next thing is a few cleanups, because we're gonna have a few questions. I had a patient, a while back, and, boy, we've been working on her, and she's had some weight loss, and she seemed to be doing everything right, and then, time has gone by and stuff. Anyway, I quit seeing her, and, one day she's talking, she says, yeah, I was just talking to my sister, and I decided I think I'm gonna quit the alcohol. I think that's making me for my weight loss, and I'm like, never pegged her for alcohol, but that was the thing, nothing wrong with alcohol, you can drink whatever, but if you want to, keep your blood sugar low, it's the alcohol is gonna raise it up. Anybody, if you ever do drink, you'll notice if you drink in the evening times, first thing in the morning, you could like kill a piece of cake or a donut, cause your blood sugars are way everywhere, okay? So alcohol does, kinda get out, and if you have to have, maybe a glass of wine, I always tell people to have a cheat meal. So, eat, regular during the week, or that you have like a luncheon or something on Saturday, have that for your cheat meal, and then have that piece of cake, or that glass of wine, or that sandwich, or something like that. Look forward to that, and they eat really good and clean during the week and stuff too. And then the other thing is oatmeal, cause we've always been taught, eat your oatmeal in the morning, right? Because why? It's
Keeps you
fiber.
full.
Fiber in it, but it has, the oatmeal turns into a lot of inflammation in the body, so it does have some good fiber to it, but many of the ones that we have these days aren't real even steel cut oats and stuff like traditionally what it's supposed to be good for anyway, okay? And then we talked about this, gluten-free noodles and bread, those all kind of turn into sugar as well too, okay? And then what keeps the sugar cravings at bay? Basically just remember cinnamon, okay? Or you can even do a half a cup of blueberries. That's gonna help to balance those blood sugar cravings when you get to wanting something sweet and stuff too, okay?
What's the best, form of cinnamon to use?
I've heard there's a couple of different forms, and that's a great question. I have no idea, honestly. I know that there's one that might be better than the other, but I haven't even explored.
Just like the
that
little
dip.
cinnamon you can buy at
Yeah.
the grocery
And,
or.
if it says cinnamon and nothing else, that's
Probably good.
better than nothing, absolutely. And then there's some other good fats, we've already kinda talked about again, is salmon, nut butters and your nuts and stuff here. And, your coconut oils, your avocado oils. If you have canola oils, vegetable oils, chunk them, those are bad oils and stuff, so you don't want any of those, just kinda stick here with your olive oil and avocado oil. And then you want to drink, reverse osmosis water is great. And then you wanna minimize your plastic containers. And then when you are doing that, make sure you get a stainless steel, because most of the time they look like they're steel, but they might actually be aluminum. And aluminum is another thing, if you have high aluminum intakes, it actually causes cancers too. So we wanna kinda minimize our aluminum intake. And basically, you're just gonna drink half your body weight in water, okay? Alright, think about supplements real quick. This is great, this is the women's or men's essential packs, and they have your B complex, your D3, your optimal omegas, your magnesium, and your multivitamin. And basically, if you haven't been taking these, they come in a small little pack here, so it has all your different supplements here. And basically, if you're not taking any type of supplements, these are like just your bare minimum, the ones that you should be taking every single day. Reason is, most everybody is deficient in B complex vitamins right now, and that actually helps with your skin health, your energy boost. Because we're deficient in B complex, it makes us more susceptible to like skin cancers. And jumping back over here, oxidative stress. So having your extra antioxidants in your multivitamin is actually going to also help to kind of prevent some other things, again, like maybe some of your skin cancers and stuff too. It's gonna boost your immune system up, helping to balance your hormones and stress management. Those are always great things as well. Magnesium's gonna help you to kind of more or less like sleep better at night, and your omegas is gonna be for your good, help balance your insulin levels and stuff too, which is great. And then vitamin D, I just mentioned earlier, for breast cancer prevention, but it's also good for your digestive system and your skin health too. And remember, you're not microwaving your health, okay? It's not instant, you're actually rebuilding, okay? So you have to change to what's going on inside here. And so again, we measure our health by looking at our simple scales, and that's not the true way of measuring what our health level is. My best way I recommend doing is just your energy levels, you know? And, you know, maybe you're not gonna be the weight that you was when you was cheerleader in high school, you know, now, but it, you know, you figure out what that weight is that you feel good at, you felt good at, your energy level was at, and that's where you need to be, okay? So you're rebuilding the system, okay? And then you need to, like build a decision filter, okay? So big things like, you said something about the cinnamon, you know, I don't know, but what's the better choice, or, you know, whatever the perfect one is, you know, whichever, you know, just try to figure out which one is the best. Same thing with, figure out what food, so looking at food and be like, okay, is this gonna give me energy, or is this gonna take my energy, okay? Any kind of food, stuff like that. And then talk about exercise real quick. So this is just a 10-minute, built-in workout plan, and basically all this is really simple. It's just gonna look like a running in place, you know, for 20 seconds, and that's gonna get your heart rate up. And then you're gonna do 1 minute of wall push-ups. Everybody has a wall at home, so we can do wall push-ups. You're not having to get on the floor or anything. And then you can do a minute, right after wall push-ups, you're gonna go in and do air squats. If you can't do air squats, it's no big deal. Just even have a chair by and just kinda act like, oh, I'm going down, that chair's hot. I'm going down, that chair's hot. And just kinda do a few of those for a minute. And you may not make it the whole minute. You might just be more like 20 seconds and be like, you know, but figure, you know, those things are gonna build these muscles here. And then you're gonna do 1 minute of jumping jacks. And you'll be like, well, I haven't done jumping jacks since I was 6th grade. But what you do with jumping jacks, I call them more like stars. It's just getting your body going here, getting your heart rate going, getting, you know, all circulation and lymph and all that stuff going. So it's nothing big. Just do that for a minute. And then you go in and do shoulder press. And that might just look like this. Then later you might get 2 cans of soup, and then just add extra weight. Bicep curls are here, and then you're gonna run in place again for 20 seconds. So you can do that in your jammies, right? We can do that as soon as we get up in the morning. Go to another room if you don't wanna wake up your partner, and do this really quick. And it takes 10 minutes. Who doesn't have 10 minutes? You didn't even change clothes. You probably still have bad breath, you know, but you can still go in there and do that real quick in 10 seconds. Another thing to kind of mess around with is anybody have like a step thing? These watches these days all have something like that. So start looking at what your average is of steps, and, you know, try to first might make it up to 7,000, and then maybe bump it up to 10,000, you know. That just kind of helps to kind of help hold your accountable. This is just a plug here, so today you can attend this class, and you're just getting information, there ain't no follow-up. But if you want an extra follow-up, you can also do this class today, get the information, and you can make an appointment with me, and we can do a weigh-in and measure, and I can see you for 6 weeks, just for the extra accountability. It doesn't cost anything, so I'm always available for those kind of things. Another thing, like maybe you really need some serious accountability, then you can do food journals, and I have a lot of people that do food journals. They've turned them in weekly as well too. Or you can do all those things, and then comes in some of the workouts that Liz has here too. So this is what your meal and exercise plan looks like. You have this in your packet here. So I'm not gonna go over a single one of these because I'm fixing to make some chicken salad here. But basically you're gonna do for breakfast, before breakfast, you're gonna do your 10-minute workout, and then you might have some eggs and some turkey bacon omelet. Okay, add some tomatoes to that, whatever you want to add to that. And then for a snack, you might have a half a cup of walnuts. And then lunch, you might have a cup of chicken salad, and cut up some bell peppers and a quarter cup of walnuts. That doesn't sound like a lot of food, but remember what gives you the energy the most, the protein, the fats. And you're putting in good fats from, I'll show you how to do that in a minute too. Dinner might be baked chicken and broccoli and Alfredo. There's a yummy Alfredo sauce in here too that you can add to broccoli or just use it for a dip of anything. Who doesn't like Alfredo sauce? And they don't have cheese in it. But anybody got any questions over here?
Can you substitute tuna for the salmon?
Yeah, you can do. Look, for any time you do the fish though, just make sure it's wild caught. That's gonna be the better, cause it's gonna be a little less mercury, in there.
Do you eat all of the egg yolks? Like, if you have that many chickens and you have that many eggs, are you eating, how often do you eat 3 eggs a day?
Probably about 2 to 3 days. I probably hit 2 or 3 eggs, so.
Does that bother cholesterol at
No.
all?
No, you need to go to Dr. Darren's cholesterol class. He squashes that. No, but it's not even with the cholesterol, with the yellow, the yolk, it's actually basically the study, and he can say it's so much better, I'm just killing it, but when you fry in the eggs, what the oil they had in the egg, cooking the egg is what messed with the cholesterol readings to begin with. But no, that yolk is actually really, really good for you, so no. And those are good fats, and when we're putting in the good fats, that's gonna make, the HDLs go down and LDLs go, it'll help to balance and stuff, so it helps. I want you to see where this is kind of like a woven weave here, okay, so it's not just an eating plan. Again, we start out in the mornings, we're doing our 10-minute workout here, and we do have one recovery day. It don't have to be Saturday, it could be any other day, okay? And then what we're doing here, remember at lunch, what did I say we could have at lunch? Quinoa
2 to
here.
3 times.
Yeah, and then we can have maybe sweet potatoes in here, that's our lunch that we're adding in. But the days that we're at lunch and we're having quinoa or our sweet potatoes, we're gonna fix it where we might have a brisk walk time. And that brisk walk might just be walking to your mailbox or getting up at your office where you're at and taking a quick walk to the bathroom and quick walk back, something like that. But when you do that right after you eat any meal, your blood sugar numbers actually go down at least by 10 points at a minimum, just by getting up and moving immediately afterwards.
So I always thought it was better to go exercise and then eat, but you're saying that it's better to.
Exercise first, cause you're gonna burn off all the other stuff left over, so then you have a clean slate for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So, that's gonna be your best bet. If you was gonna go work out 3 hours and do a marathon and all those stuff, I would probably eat before, This is just a 10-minute quick workout here, yeah.
So I saw black beans are on Saturday, but are beans like okay all the time, or should you moderate
Keep
them?
them in moderation as well too, but they are good, they got good high fiber, they got some proteins, all those kind of things too, so yeah.
You talk about the plant protein shake. Now, I drank a premier protein shake. And that's got nothing to do probably with, what is a plant protein shake?
Plant protein is just gonna be it's gonna be made out of peas, basically. That's what most plant proteins are, is what our plant protein is, just pea mix. So, I use that today, to kinda give you as a sample for the plant protein.
Can you buy them in the store, or you just something you're
We
making
have
yourself?
plant protein here, that we have in all of our products, cause you're in this class today, I forgot to add that. In all of our products, you get 10% off, so if you do buy product today, you do get 10% off. But the we do have plant protein, that's 10% off too, and I use the plain old vanilla just because you can kinda doctor it up, you can add a little cocoa to it, you can add some strawberries to it, those kind of things too.
I use a pea protein, but I get it at Sam's, and it's organic and it doesn't have any sugar.
That's
The
the main thing.
Premier has the sugar added in it because it's
Oh.
liquid, ready to go.
Oh, okay.
Not familiar with organic
plant-based.
Premier is a Walmart brand. It's a Sam's.
So look for
Premier
what-
protein.
Yeah,
A lot of sugar.
I know it's not allowed anymore, but
The
it's.
biggest thing is just making sure there's no,
Yeah.
added sugars to it, that's gonna be your
Ah.
biggest.
Are you not wasting
Are you using any sort of vegetable spray?
Yeah, there's like I have an avocado spray that I use, so like if I'm
Oh.
making sweet potatoes, I might, cut them up and then just spray the avocado spray on them and put them in the oven. Yeah, so that's about all I ever do with any of the other vegetables. Same thing, like another quick thing that we do at home is the sheet pan, you know, stuff. So it's like cut up chicken and all your vegetables, and you just throw that in there and eat that. You can make that as a salad, those kind of things. And then in the evenings, if you can, especially when it's nicer weather right now, try to have some evening walks, okay? Those are important things to add up to, so. And then these are some easy meal combinations I mentioned earlier. So maybe having a grilled hamburger for dinner with your bell peppers and onions and mushrooms and a side of green beans. Or baked chicken with broccoli and carrots, or baked cod with asparagus and carrots. Baked chicken with roasted medium sweet potato at lunch. So these are just little things that you can kind of add in as a good thing. And then we have snack ideas. So we can use boiled eggs, plant protein, nuts again, berries, apples, tuna salad, egg salad, deviled eggs, chicken salad, bell pepper slices, cucumbers, and hummus, celery sticks, baked apples with cinnamon, pickles, cucumbers with salt and pepper. And then if you find a 90% dark chocolate and don't have any extra added sugars to them, this gives you your chocolate fix when you're looking for something chocolate. And then I keep that in my freezer and just break off a square, and I just basically just dip it in my peanut butter jar. And so that's my Reese's Cups. So you can do that. They also have these Lily's chips that you can have, and they're sweetened with stevia. So these are pretty good too. So if you still have a hankering or maybe want a dessert or cookies or something like that, so you can still use these here. And you can buy these at Walmart. You don't have to go to a fancy store. Okay? So, we're fixing to make this right now. This is our chicken salad. And basically that's chicken breast, lemon juice, veggies. Veggies is basically just a mayonnaise. Here's the avocado and mash with the chicken. We have, and then you'll go through, these are all just our recipes. You already have all these kind of things here you can go through and kind of look at. This is so delicious here. This is another hamburger salad. So you just have a grilled hamburger from like the night before, and you get you a big bowl of romaine lettuce and pickles, a boiled egg cut it up, and some bacon. And then there's this Thousand Island dressing recipe that you mix up here and you put on there, and it's delicious.
That's what we had for supper last night.
Yeah, look.
You asked that right?
Yes, and so you make that out of cashews, so you just get a cup and a quarter cup of cashews, nutritional yeast, garlic, salt, almond milk or coconut milk, and then liquid. And this is not so hot barbecue chicken and slaw. So basically all this is cooked chicken, and then you get some red hot sauce and mix it on in there. I've never liked hot sauce, but when you mix all this together, it tastes like baked barbecue chicken. So, and then this is a good slaw mix. That's what I had today. And then this is just some another like a dry seasoning, because it's basically it is the seasoning that was in our food. And that, you know, if you do all that, you can just make something healthy taste not so healthy for you, you know, and it'd be delicious. And then this is the beef and quinoa skillet that we'll do today too. So, all right. And then over here, all I'm doing is just putting the chicken over here in my bowl, and I'm shredding the chicken with or putting it over here in my blender so I can make it real fast. So I'm just shredding the chicken over here. Sorry, I don't need to slide. That's really okay.
The sweet potatoes you said, slice them. How long do you cook them for?
About 25 minutes, about 375.
375.
Yeah, and that's like in my convection oven. Does anybody have a convection oven?
Yes.
So, I've never had one. I've always used my stove, but the convection oven made life so much easier, and it don't heat up my kitchen. So it's been like an awesome thing to have. It's a recent investment. I just put in, and I really do like it because it's fast and easy for lunches and stuff like that too. So she just mentioned that this is fast, right? So in the time of you listening to me today, we just made a whole meal, and we just meal prepped some chicken salad. Okay, so that's squashing one of the things that we always say is we just don't have the time. And it's quick. And as I mentioned earlier, you can put frozen chicken in here. So it's you can do either or. If you didn't lay the chicken out or you forgot, you can do that as well. The same thing with this same chicken, doing it like this here, and then doing the not so hot chicken. That's the shredded chicken with the hot sauce. Do that, and that tastes the shredded chicken with the hot sauce really does taste delicious with slaw, making your slaw. Yep. So mix all these together and we'll get them real quick.
So did your beef and quinoa skillet have the peas as part of it, and or you just added that?
She just added those. Yeah, so I just added the peas. You can be creative and,
Is
add,
that just to get another vegetable in?
yeah. And I think the peas kind of add a little, say you got your vegetable in. You're definitely not gonna be your 2 cups of vegetables eating that meal, but at the same time, it is something good and easy to kind of get started, so. Alright, so now, all I'm doing here is just adding in, could be shredded a little bit better, but for purposes of what we're doing today, it is what it is. So I'm just adding, my grandson, he loves chicken salad, and he wanted to help me add lemon juice. And I put a lot of lemon juice in here. You notice, I put a lot, a lot of lemon juice. Yeah, the lemon juice I feel like is what kind of helps to kind of create it. You don't even taste the lemon juice in it, but it does kind of help to create that, get rid of, I guess, the acidity and stuff of the meat and stuff too. So, and then I have veggies.
And that's just lemon concentrate.
No concentrate. This should just be regular.
Yeah.
This actually says from concentrate, but you're not. This should be lemon. And your recipe is going to call for a lot less veggies. I made a lot of chicken because we have extra people in here, so might use a lot of
If you
it.
were using like an actual lemon, would you say like just a whole one or 2?
Yeah, because you would have like about 3 to 4 chicken breasts, and and I'm old school too, so me even trying to create a recipe over here is almost like, you try it out yourself. You do that and then you add a little bit more and create your own. My husband says I'm the worst at reading recipes, but I like to be creative. So I see a recipe and I'll be like, ooh, I'm gonna add a little of this, You kind of want to do that, so same thing here, Another thing that I love to put in here is some curry. If you like curry, it's delicious in here, and it kind of gives it a different flavor as well too. So nothing fancy, and this is plain old Jane, nothing fancy chicken salad. So the idea here is you create it the way you want. You want to add dill pickles to it, you can do that. You can do all the things. I'm just trying to give you a plain palette for you to kind of create something that you like and that you enjoy as well too, and be creative with that. Yep. All right, so we can put some. Oh, you already put the things together. Fantastic. Okay, well I'll do chicken salads then. If you want to put the quinoa in the other bowls, we'll need more. Here. We'll get y'all going.
And you add the salt and pepper? So you really haven't added anything else?
No, that was it. Straight up, just your lemon juice and your veggies. Okay, so I haven't added anything else. I haven't added anything. So you can add all kinds of different stuff. You can add, like I said, I'm trying to give you a bland palette, and then you kind of create something that you like as well too. You might be like, oh, I like a lot of this, or I like a little of that kind of stuff too. Okay. Sea salt is also going to be better for you too. So if you sea salt, you can do that.
Why do some people say that you need the other one for some iodine?
Because iodine has been touted as being something that we need, because it's good for a lot of different things. But the best one to have is more your Celtic sea salt, and the reason of that is it already has your iodine in it and all your other minerals. So it's actually better for you. Hasn't been stripped out.
I didn't know that sea salt had that.
Yeah. It's all,
What is
got
your
all your
opinion
things in there.
about iodine and thyroid?
Iodine and thyroid, you have to do both. Now, you can hurt yourself by taking too much iodine. So you have to figure out what, you don't take iodine just because you think you have a thyroid thing going on. You need to get tested. Don't guess about that.
I do have one.
Yeah, so then if you have an issue, then the iodine, it's gonna help you, with that as well too.
A lot of people like to go with
Does it matter
the
which
salt
type?
So,
now.
Himalayan salt,
Yeah, is that,
something. Yeah.
better than sea salt?
No, the, sea salt's gonna be the best,
Okay.
yeah.
And that's why I use, that's Costco one right there.
Yeah, and then and it's got I'm a big Costco fan.
Yeah.
Costco gets a lot of my money.
Yeah. And that one lasts a long time.
Yeah.
I'm a salt person, that's me.
On your cashews, are they raw, the ones that you use for your?
Raw is gonna be best. Any kind of nut is gonna, raw, I love y'all asking me these questions. Raw is gonna be better because remember we was talking about the dairy and the living enzyme? Nuts are the same way. So if we have the living enzyme, cause it's a raw nut, hasn't been roasted, then it's gonna, your body's gonna digest it a lot faster as well too, so. Chicken salads are going here. I put a cracker on here so you can try the crackers. So, yeah, these, tomato basil crackers, they're my new favorites right now. I'm trying.
Are they okay as a cracker?
My family loves spaghetti, and so we still might have spaghetti, on occasion. And when I make spaghetti, I'll make myself, like a casserole, basically, vegetables and stuff. And man, that always, everybody else wants what I have for spaghetti, So you ain't missing out on anything after a while. It's just create this habit. It's this habit that we create for morning one thing or the other too. So yes, we have trash can over here. Yes, and y'all are welcome to go.
That was awesome. Thank you so much.